What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and tonight I'm joined by Adam Haidt, Scott Taylor, and Death is back with us this evening. What's up, guys?
Hey. What's up, fam? How you doing?
Oosh. One at a time, guys. Hi, Death. How you doing? Good to see you again.
We'll all go at the same time.
Yeah, everybody do it once. Yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah. What's up, Scott?
It wouldn't be proper shit posting if we didn't.
That's right. Scott, you there, buddy? Did we lose you? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going?
Hello. Okay, yes.
Are you getting my sounds?
We're getting your sounds, dear Goy. We are releasing this Paranormies a day late. Sorry there, Goyim. Johnny was retarded or something, and shit happened yesterday, and we fucked up the recording. Sorry. But today, is a special day. It's the Cinco de Mayo. It's the day where apparently we celebrate the fact that Mexico beat France in some sort of a war. And a whole bunch of people pretend to be fucking Mexican and get drunk. So who fucking cares, basically?
It's Mexican St. Patty's Day.
It's exactly Mexican St. Patty's Day. First of all, how pussy of a country do you have to be that you celebrate beating the French? Like, seriously?
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
It's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you, fam. Anyways, enough of that. So, let's get right into some stuff. We got a couple donations this week. We got 70 from Charles. And he says, I don't know why, but my donation last week, or the week before last, or whatever, didn't send. Damn, Hebrews must have haunted me. Can I get a Mamma Mia for safe shekel transfers? That's right. Mamma Mia! All right, there we go. And we got
Thank you
another.
Very much, Charles.
Yes, thanks, Charles. He's a good guy. Like him a lot. We also got one 1963 from Jimmy Smith, and it says, a little note says, "Hey, Paranormies, long-time listener, a first-time donator. Thank you for the entertainment and the mind-boggling topics you discuss. It keeps me happy while exercising, doing work, or downtime from school. I'm only 18 and am good enough white man to have a job with a decent income, so please enjoy." Thank you very much, Jimmy. Appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you. Is that his real name? I mean, thanks, but I don't know. Maybe we want to.
Jimmy Smith?
No,
it's Jimmy Smith. He's fine. That was the name I was told to say.
Yeah. So. There's only 7 of those in the entire United States.
Yeah.
Scott, you got some background noise, some kind of.
Some static. It's fine. It's fine. All right. So we got a couple emails. I'm gonna go over real quick. We got one from Mr. Heathcliff. Says, "Hello, boys. Just want to say this is one of my favorite podcasts on TRS, and particularly the Missing 411 stood out for me as one of the best podcasts ever. It was an episode that continued to haunt me for days later, and I even replayed a couple times over the course of a week. As skeptical as I am about other spooky things, this one rings very true. Any more missing persons posting in the future? Try to donate soon. Best regards, Heathcliff." Right on, yeah, man. Scott, that was your baby, that topic, the Missing 411. We're gonna do some more of that, right? He's got what, like 4 books or something?
Yeah, definitely. He has I think like 6 or 7 books total.
Oh wow,
covering different regions. So we can do a lot more of that.
Awesome. We got one from. Oh, it doesn't say. All right, so it says, "I'm a new listener, and as I was listening to episode 18, somebody said they were smoking a cigarette and said thank you to the old gods, and then a lightning bolt shot across the sky. Well, I practice witchcraft, and that night I had conducted a very physically draining ritual. I channeled Keck and Coquette in order to send my energy where Trump needed it. In the process, I worked up a huge charge in my third eye and sent my energy straight up. I noticed a bolt of light purple lightning shoot west by southwest. I don't want to dox him. He's in the southeast. From the ball of energy I had accumulated in my mind's eye. After I finished, I went inside. I saw they were calling Arizona for Trump. I wonder if there was a connection between what he saw and maybe what I did. I don't think I'm that powerful, but when I heard him say that in that episode, I was stunned. Your show is great. Please keep it up. The esoteric Kekians believe in you, and your work strengthens all of us." Wow.
That's great.
magic, niggas. So,
Can you cast a
and
lightning bolt for me and help me destroy one of my enemies?
right?
Wait a minute. Death
PM me,
needs help
fam.
from someone to hurt someone?
No, shut up.
We got one more this week. It says, "Hi, great show. Hi, Guy. Actually spent the weekend once at the Stanley Hotel. Heard no children's voices, but did meet a specter of a kindly middle-aged Austrian gentleman. Instead of shouting red rum, he kept saying, 'I did nothing wrong.'" I get it. We'll send out a donation in a few days. Johnny, thanks for getting in the Puke's faces at the Embarcadero Center in San Francisco. I'm born and raised in San Francisco and driven out by all the queers and the darkies. Now I live in the battle-born state. Regards, red-pilled at 9. Right on. Yeah. Apparently he saw Uncle Adolf in the at the Stanley Hotel.
I would have thought that he would have haunted like the bunker. You know, it's really interesting that he went all the way to America to.
No,
haunt
he
a
escaped,
hotel.
right? No, that's
I'm
where
surprised
that's
that
where he hid after,
Home, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right, yeah. He took off...
Walk there from Argentina.
Right, I was going to say, that's a long walk from fucking Argentina, but hey, when you're a ghost, I guess
Surprised
travel...
it didn't get brought up on the episode.
All right.
Seems like if it would have been something, if we wanted
Somebody.
to talk about the Stanley, we might have got ready to do that, but apparently not. So
Hannah, or it's a facetious email.
We need to clean up our fucking game. There's
No, I'm pretty sure that guy was serious,
Yeah.
dude. I'm pretty sure. Like, there's no way that was a joke.
Yeah, like-
he definitely heard Hitler.
speaking in English too.
Right? It wasn't like the French ghost. There was a comment on the YouTube for the hotel one where the guy said he spit his drink out when I did the French ghost voice. It was great. Remember, because the ghosts haunt in their own languages, so you would figure this guy would be in an Austrian. Anyways, never mind. It was funny to me.
Right. Well,
And that guy
as
too.
long as you,
That
as long as
yeah,
you guys are happy about it.
Grayfield thought it was funny. So anyway,
Well, he's British, so they have a very strange sense.
I'm not making a good case for myself here at all.
right. The instant you started explaining the joke, you'd already lost.
Yeah, exactly. I remember because I did the
People
thing.
think it's funny.
Yeah, oh, that's like literally the worst thing you could say. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, they also invented Monty Python, so
and we'll get into that. Shut up, Adam.
Let's just quit while we're ahead here.
Yeah. So, thanks for the emails, guys. Thanks for the donations, guys. You can email us at paranormiespresent@gmail.com and donate at paranormiespresent@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at the Paranormies, and our Facebook page is the Paranormies Presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. That's our social media, and that's our stuff for this week. So, this week on the show, we're going to cover a dumb topic. It's really dumb. Like, dumb as in, like, deep underground military bases. Get it? But, God, this is so much
Let's
funny.
explain
I
that
bet,
one, too.
I bet the British thought that joke was funny too.
Yeah, let's explain that one.
It was so much funnier when we tried to do it yesterday. Yeah, so...
It was.
Anyways, yeah, deep underground military bases. We know they exist. We know those are real, but we are going to be tying in deep underground military bases to aliens as well. So, does anybody want to explain what a dumb is, real quick? Besides, like, the name.
I mean, I can kind of give a rundown on like what the normal ones are.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, the example that immediately comes to mind is NORAD, which is located inside of a mountain, and I think it's Colorado or Wyoming.
Colorado, I believe.
Is it Colorado? Well, it's inside a mountain because that's where we control a lot of like the nuclear stuff. So if there's a full-blown nuclear war and the mountain gets hit by a nuke, the base will be fine. I think it's like on springs, and it's got a bunch of like neat engineering to protect it from any sort of nuclear weapons. And that's just
rings. That's like Acme.
I think it.
gear.
I think it
It's like
actually. I might be making that up in my head, but I'm almost positive it's on springs. So that's just an example of a real known underground base. But the issue tonight is there's a lot of underground bases supposedly that the public does not know about, and that the military and the government doesn't want the public to know about for a very good reason.
There'd have to be, you know.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that there's even like normie tier underground bases that we don't know about, like that are just military things. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we are talking about bases where aliens are and all sorts of other exotic technology and weapons. So, do you guys? Well, you know, do you guys want to talk about the like underground tunnels first, like some of the stuff that isn't made by the U.S. government?
Yeah, kind of there's a groundwork for this episode.
Yeah, go ahead. You did most of the research on that there, Scott. So go ahead.
Okay. So when we were doing research for this episode, there was a lot of things we found about underground caverns and tunnels that supposedly exist well before people got to them. One of the ones that I thought was most interesting was it was in South America, and I think what's now Mexico. These Catholic priests basically went to this tribe to convert them to Christianity. And this tribe had a temple, and it had like 8 chambers. There were 4 above ground and 4 below ground. And in these chambers, they were doing human sacrifices and all the stuff that the Aztecs and all them like to do. So they have like an altar where they'd cut your heart out. They would have, what else? They had one that was like, they would chain people to the wall and stuff. Well, anyway, long story short, at the end of these 4 chambers, there was like an ultimate chamber, and it had an empty room, and it had a door that went into this underground series of tunnels. Now, that's where they would chuck all the dead bodies of their warriors, of their sacrifice victims. And the creepiest one to me was if somebody had like a terminal illness, or they had, you know, been selected to die, they could offer themselves up as a living sacrifice. And it was believed by the tribe that being a living sacrifice would grant them some sort of special conditions in the afterlife. So basically what they would do is they would walk into these tunnels, the priest would seal the door behind them, you know, the big rock or whatever, they push it back, and they would just go down there and basically die. So, of course, the Catholics wanted nothing to do with this. So what they did is they went down there with some torches. They had some people posted at the door and like a rope to, you know, lead back up. They described all these skeletons being everywhere. They described all these snakes. And they went down these tunnels and down a stairway. I think it said like 40 meters. And as they went down, there was a gust of air that blew out all their torches. And as it blew out all their torches, they started hearing these noises that they couldn't place, like some sort of screaming and stuff like that. So, of course, they hightailed it out of there. They went back up. They sealed the cavern off and basically tried to like destroy all evidence of this thing. I forget the name of the tunnel that they called it, but basically they thought it was
the Lioba.
Yeah, what is that in English? Do you remember?
Oh, that's what you meant.
What was the word again?
It's called the Lioba cave entrance.
Oh, the Lioba, yeah, the Cavern of Death.
Cavern of Death, yeah.
Cavern of Death.
I mean, don't, come asking me any questions about this, please.
Well, yeah, it's actually near a village called Mictlan, or the Village of the Underworld. So,
a lot of dark stuff going on over there.
Yeah, South America's got some weird shit going on, dude. There's all kinds of stuff we don't know about. But
I mean, it was like the 1600s, man. We were all getting crazy and wild back then.
Well, I mean, like the Cavern of Death was it's like there was an 8-chamber building underground, and that was the 8th chamber was the Cavern of Death. They had one room which was reserved for any human sacrifices.
We just talked about that.
We did that. Did I miss that? The second chamber, the third chamber. You guys went over all 7 chambers? No, you did not.
I kind of skipped over all of them, but basically,
okay, you did.
Yeah. Chambers.
Yeah.
A lot of blood,
Okay.
They had like idols
Okay.
that they would rub the blood on.
The King's Burial Chamber. Well, that one's pretty. The Entrance to Hell was the fourth.
Yeah, I think it's funny how. Okay, so if I go down in a cave and I hear like unhuman screaming and like wind blowing out my torch, I'm not gonna worship whatever that is. Like, I'm not gonna like.
No, that doesn't sound
sacrifice.
Well, wouldn't you actually like think about how fucking profound that is? Like, you go down there and there's this constant.
Fuck that, dude. I'm gonna either like seal that thing up or like get like 500 people to go down there with swords. Like, there's no way I'm gonna like start chucking bodies down. Like, here, have a snack.
But it's like,
yeah.
Let's say that. Let's just take it at face value and say that there is something supernatural, spooky going on down there. Just say, this society. It's not just like you were deciding to do this. A society organized around it.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Like that's what's so weird about it.
They didn't kill enough of these people.
Well, the thing is all these South American civilizations, there's all kinds of caves and tunnels and stuff. The Aztecs had their things. Peru and Chile, when the Incas ruled them, they had knowledge of the underground Supai, the god of death, who had an underground dwelling. You've got the Inca, the Manco Capac, so that him and his followers, founders of the Inca, came from underground caves. So there's all kinds of these references to underground stuff. What we're going to get into is the fact that there are aliens underground. So what do you think the correlation is that these ancient civilizations had contact with aliens instead of just some underground humans?
My personal theory is that aliens and demons kind of have a one-to-one correlation. I think.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that. I don't think there's
basically the same thing.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think there's a distinction really between aliens and like other kinds of supernatural shit. It's just like,
Yeah. I don't know if necessarily they're like biological creatures that evolved on some other world and flew here, but I do think that like aliens of some form exist, and I think that a lot of times what we call aliens now, people used to call demons 500 years ago. Some sort of nasty entity that preys off of people. So,
yeah. Wasn't there a underground cave on the island of Malta too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we can get into that one too. That one's fucking weird. Okay, so let's see if I remember all this correctly. So supposedly, Malta, if you don't know where that's at, it's in the Mediterranean. It's basically between Italy and Africa. Malta was colonized like 10,000 years ago. Like, it's been around for a hot minute. The Phoenicians colonized it. The Carthaginians colonized it. There were some others too. I can't remember. But basically, with the Malta thing, there was a tunnel that was discovered by these farmers. They were digging. I think they accidentally uncovered the roof of this cavern. Basically what happened is it was excavated out, and this system of tunnels and caverns was discovered to basically go underneath the whole island. And it was supposedly had like a religious purpose. There was a wall that if you stood in a certain spot and spoke to the wall, it would reverberate your voice throughout the whole system. So what people think is like a priest would stand there and he would be the voice of God. Basically, he would talk and the people in there would hear the voice of God. There were also paintings on the wall that were made of red ochre, and ochre is like the oldest form of painting, basically. If you know what cave paintings are, like the people in France, the Neanderthals, like 30,000 years ago, that would paint the...
There's like nasty animal refuse, yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it's made out of, but they would paint like woolly mammoths and like, their handprint on the wall. That's basically what they were using in these caves and tunnels down there. So it's whatever whoever made these tunnels, it had to be incredibly old. And they're very simplistic designs. It was like diamonds and ovals and stuff like that. Well, supposedly, these tunnels, there was a group of, I think it was like 30 school kids and a tour guide that went down there. And supposedly, they all disappeared underneath a collapse. I don't know how true that is, because if there was a collapse, they would, you would think they would like get them out of there. And supposedly for weeks afterwards, all over the island, you could hear kids screaming from under the ground, but no one could locate it. And I don't know why kids would be alive weeks after a collapse, especially in places where the collapse didn't happen.
And they're already screaming.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't think you can visit these tunnels anymore.
Yeah, no, the tunnels have been sealed off. Yeah, that's
dumb.
Well,
that's some spooky crap.
Well, no, it's one of those things where you don't want to let them investigate or whatever. I don't know. Like you just seal it off that way. Nothing to see here. All that sort of thing.
Well, right, but like the whole thing I meant was spooky.
Oh yeah, the whole thing is it's crazy. Yeah. So we're gonna go from those underground caves to man-made underground bases, which are all over the United States and all over the world. The United States has allegedly a network of 140 underground bases from the Denver airport. You guys know about the Denver airport, right?
There's the audience.
We could do a whole thing about the Denver airport in and of itself. That's a crazy place.
It really is, yeah.
There's not like murals of people dying or something.
Yeah, it's like getting stabbed and shit by like bayonets, and then there's this big blue horse statue.
The big horse statue out front, but it's just a Denver Broncos thing, dude. It's not anything
As
weird.
you drive in, I've been through the Denver airport like a dozen times. As you drive into the airport, you see this giant horse, and it's like reared up on its back legs. It's blue, and then its eyes are red. And it is the creepiest shit. Like, I have no idea why it's there. The creepiest thing about it is it actually killed the original sculptor. As he was finishing up, a piece like slid off and basically fell on him, and he died, and his son had to finish the statue.
Yeah, that's really weird. It's got all kinds of like burning cities and women in coffins. There's a big ass mural, and there's a time capsule there too. So and
then there's shit on the floor. There's like random words scattered all over the floor.
Really weird. Not like, and they're like spooky words. Or not. It's not like they're kind of like
airplane.
Yeah, it's not like have a good day, fly safe. No, it's like
it's like death, destruction, eternity. Yeah. The void. Like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about the base at Denver International Airport. So this base supposedly is 22 miles in diameter and goes down like 8 levels. And so the airport was constructed in 1995, which is roughly around the same time that the United States CIA Domestic Division headquarters relocated from Langley, Virginia to Denver, Colorado. The government and the politicians were they were hell-bent on building this airport, even in spite of the fact that it was vastly over budget. There were like corruption charges brought up. There were constant construction company changes. There would be mass firings of teams. Like once they would finish a section of the work, they would fire that construction company so that nobody could actually have any idea what was going on there. And then the blueprints would constantly change. Like the locals, there was actually like a protest group put together. The locals didn't want the airport. Like they didn't even need the airport. There was an airport already there. It wasn't necessary. So basically the thing is that the Denver International Airport serves as a cover for the massive underground facility that was there. Which, however, it was debunked on the History Channel by the show America Unearthed, Mr. Yeah. So hey, debunked by History Channel.
Yeah.
There you go. Done.
Yeah,
Doesn't exist.
I think it's so funny. I know I mentioned this yesterday when we fucked up the recording, but I think it's funny how like the History Channel has these things as if they're ever going to have like an episode where they find out it's true.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that
Like,
that episode. That episode, the guy had the person who contacted okay, so the show's called America Unearthed, and it's got this guy in like the description of the show. He's like, excuse me, I'm the modern day Indiana Jones, going around America and discovering artifacts and proving or disproving and blah blah blah. And so he got an email from this guy who like said that the New World Order is building a base has built a base under the Denver International Airport. So the guy, they interview the guy, of course they have this fucked up camera angle on him, so it makes him look weird, you know, and like everything he says is just like, yeah, the New World Order. It's almost, I mean, honest to God, I almost felt like they were interviewing Jim Fetzer, like for a second, but whoa,
ludicrous! This underground base.
Yeah, right. It's ludicrous. Yeah, there's no children that were killed at Sandy Hook.
The base.
Wait a second.
You can see them on my blog.
This is a blog. Anyway, stop. We gotta try and get Jim on the show. We can't make fun of him. Anyways. So they totally make the guy who called him there, you know, look like a fucking retard. And then, of course, they get the head of whoever like runs the grounds there or whatever, and she takes the guy from the show into their little their elevator and takes him down. It takes him down to the whatever the basement is, and it's nothing but food storage. Huh, what a surprise. Nothing to see here, guys. Just, you know, well, debunked. Mystery solved. Absolutely nothing. Just some modern art and some, you know...
As if they didn't give the airport, like, advance notice, hey, we're filming a show where we're going to go underground. Like,
are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how much notice you have to give to a place like an airport to even bring a camera in like that? Yeah. So, okay.
How funny would it have been, though, if they went down there and there's, like, a little alien...
All of a sudden, it's like, oh, shit!
I thought they were coming Thursday.
Right, exactly. Dude, it is Thursday. Fuck! Yeah. So, okay, let me just describe a little bit more of Denver International Airport here. Okay. So, I mean, how easy would it be to have a fucking secret base at an airport? You've got it's just so mundane, like having thousands of people in and out of a fucking airport every day. You could cycle CIA, you know, and underground workers, whatever, in and out of an airport without anybody ever noticing easily, right? I mean, it's how many people go in and out of an airport every hour? Thousands, right?
Like thousands, yeah. I mean, it's not the same people either. That's the other advantage of an airport. Because people are coming and going on a flight, so you're not going to see the same person twice unless they're an employee. So you don't even have to disguise these people as like construction workers. You can just have them, you know, just walk in their suit and tie. And
right. Well, and how many times have you been to an airport and you've seen construction going on? Like every time? Like there's always construction going on at an airport.
Literally every time. There's always construction.
Yeah.
Always.
Right. So it'd be so easy to hide it. So, okay. So here we go. So we have, there's reports of electronic and magnetic vibrations would make people sick. Some people get migraines from it. There's acres of fenced in areas. Acres. It's fucking huge. Acres. That have barbed wire pointing into the area as if to keep things in, not keep things out. So usually when you put barbed wire around something, you point the angled part out so people like climbing up the wall can't get. Yeah, right. This is pointing in. There's
airplanes don't run away.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you know. Well, I've seen. Hey, dude, I've seen Planes, the Disney movie, and you know. Anyways, there's hundreds of mini cooling, like concrete stacks that are like mini cooling towers. You know, you've seen like a cooling tower on like a power plant or something where it's just like steam coming out of it.
Like a nuclear reactor.
Exactly.
Cooling towers?
As almost as if a nuclear reactor might be underground. Yeah. Apparently, you know, these are to vent the levels. According to speculation, The underground facility is 88 square miles deep. Interesting. Basically, this underground base is 8 cities on top of each other, and the holding size, this base can hold millions and millions of people, whether, they're mind controlled, enslaved, New World Order army soldiers, or whatever, just surface, whatever. The globalists, the bankers.
The FEMA camp employees.
That's right. So, that's crazy. We don't know. All we know is that there is all kinds of crazy symbolism all over the airport. A friend of mine was in there, and she texted me. She was flying. She lives in Fort Collins, and was flying to New York, and she went there, and she texted me. She's like, the first person I thought of was you when I saw this stuff. And she sent me some pictures, and it was literally it was everything that I saw in the History Channel thing. But, she's like, this is really, really creepy. I'm not getting a good feeling from this place. It's weird, It's like, remember I told you guys about when I went through the San Francisco airport and they had that giant Ouija display?
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Really weird.
Yeah. Why the fuck does an airport have that kind of stuff? That's a whole other thing. But really, what's with all the weird macabre, stuff in an airport?
So this is gonna go real out there, but I would like to see if these airports are located on ley lines or anything.
Ley lines.
Yeah.
Idea.
Where they intersect.
I wouldn't put it past any of it. We could do that research, and let's just do a weird airport. I don't know. Anyways, so also there is Dulce base in New Mexico. Now, this is the weirdest of all bases, I believe. Weirder than Area 51, and we all know what Area 51 is, right?
Well, it's a distraction from Dulce.
Exactly. Area 51 is supposedly the place in Roswell, New Mexico, where the aliens crashed, and they're keeping the little gray guy and whatever. Yeah, no. So Dulce base in New Mexico. Dulce is a small town in northern New Mexico, 7,000 feet above sea level on the Jicarilla Apache Indian Reservation. And I only say it like that because it's Cinco de Drinko, so, just want to give them a little shout out. So there's only one motel and a few stores. It's not a resort town. There's not a lot of activity there, but they have a secret. Their secret is harbored deep below the brush of the Archuleta Mesa. It's supposedly for the research of mind-related functions, genetic experiments, mind control training, and reprogramming. So this base has over 3,000 real-time video cameras throughout the complex, and at high-security locations like entrances and exits. There's over 100 secret exits near and around Dulce, and many around Archuleta Mesa, which is to the south, and even as far east as Lindrith, which is actually pretty far. I don't know the actual distance. But there's a whole section of natural caverns in that area. But the base itself is 6 levels deep. You got level 1 is your garage for street maintenance. Level 2 is your garage for trains, shuttles, tunnel boring machines, and we'll get into that later. And disc maintenance. Discs as in flying discs, flying saucers. Level 3, which is where everyone that comes in is weighed in the nude and given a jumpsuit uniform. The weight of the person is put on your computer ID card every single day. So if your stuff, if your weight changes, if you're on keto and you drop a few pounds or whatever, they got to change your stuff. Anything changing over 3 pounds requires a physical exam and an X-ray, actually, which is weird. The 4th level.
I'm pretty sure, I've ate that many snacks out of a vending machine before.
Yeah, those of you that have watched my
Yeah.
Like I said, those of you that have watched my Grand Mac challenge know that I've fluctuated 3 pounds in a day at least once.
Yeah. Like, imagine being the poor guy who just ate too many sun chips out of the vending machine, like over his shift.
You gotta get x-rayed because, you gained too many pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay, so level 4 is human research in paranormal areas like mental telepathy, mind control, hypnosis, remote viewing. And speaking of remote viewing, I want to get Mr. Giorgiani on our show. I actually have his email address. He gave me permission. I can email him. We're going to get him on, talk about remote viewing and stuff. Yeah, he's a super, super interesting guy. And for those of you that say that when I say the word interesting, that you think I say it when I say interesting, I'm actually saying that's crap. No, I actually mean interesting. And back into that. So remote viewing and astral traveling. The technology is apparently here to allow them to know how to manipulate the bioplasmic body development of a laser weapon that can remotely cause burns and discomfort on its target. They can lower your heartbeat with things called deep sleep delta waves, induce static shock, and then reprogram you via a brain to computer link. So, artificial memories, like the Total Recall type theory. You guys have all seen Total Recall, right? Not the shitty one with Colin Farrell, but the good one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even though it's not, none of his movies are
Blade
good.
Runner, but
oh yeah, Blade Runner too. Yeah. Okay, so level 5 is severe security. Armed guards patrol constantly, and in addition to weight-sensitive areas, there's handprint and eye print stations. So you've all seen in the movies, you put the hand on the thing and they scan your eye and whatever. So that they actually have those. They say here's the device that powers the transfer of atoms, which is. There's your nuclear facility there. Level 6 is privately called the Nightmare Hall. Yeah, the Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs. That's where they make the chimeras. The chimeras that they're breaking down into things in the deep underground military bases. My Alex Jones thing there. They do experiments.
Human-animal hybrids.
That's right. Human-animal hybrids called chimeras, and they give them the super male vitality and the colloidal silver. Buy my Berkey water filters.
Which level did they turn the frogs gay on?
Well, I'm pretty sure they turned the frogs gay on level 6 because this is where they're doing the experiments on fish, seals, birds, and mice, and other animals where they're...
there's definitely gay frogs in there.
There's certainly turn the frogs gay on level 6.
I wonder if there's a Minotaur that patrols. That'd be cool. It's like
I was going to mention the Minotaur thing actually earlier when we were talking about these things in Malta. Because that has been around. How long has the Minotaur myth been around? Like 4,000 years?
Ancient Greece?
Like,
yeah.
Didn't Homer write about it? He talked about it or whatever. So that's been around for basically forever. And I think it's very curious how a myth has sprung up about some sort of underground chimera or monstrosity that hunts people when you basically have these tunnels all over the Mediterranean that are full of, who the fuck knows what.
They're full of bones.
Right, they're full of bones, and in the Mediterranean is where the Minotaur story originally originated, and the Minotaur's labyrinth, right? And there's your tunnels. It just all kind of sort of fits together. Mm-hmm. What else is weird about Dulce? Is what Mr. Philip Schneider was talking about, right?
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, what did you think I was going to say?
Oh, I don't know. Never mind.
Oh, the aliens. I was going to say about the aliens. The alien connection to Dulce. Yeah.
Do you want to hit that one, Scott?
Okay, so Phil Schneider, according to his story, he was a geologist and an explosives expert who was contracted by the government, and he had some sort of like above top secret clearance. He called it he called it what, level 3, I think it was.
Depending on who you talk to, it was level 1 or level 3 or whatever. But sometimes, like level 3 is the lower level, and level 1 is higher. Or if you talk to other people, level 1 is lower, and level 3 is higher.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he had I had a top secret SCI, and he had a higher clearance than me. He had like one of those Romeo Zulu clearances and shit. Yeah, like higher than the president. So.
Well, supposedly he had this insane security clearance. He was a geologist, and he was contracted by the government back in the 70s to help drill out tunnels for underground military bases. They supposedly had these big boring machines that would basically just vaporize rock completely.
Well,
so there was no debris. Or
it would melt it down, and then like pave it on the walls in a very smooth. Like, so when it cooled down, it was like smooth, polished black glass. So they wouldn't have to build supports for it.
Well, that was the thing with those the tunnel boring machines.
It was a Rand Corporation development.
They would actually liquefy the earth, and like you said, they didn't have to use concrete or gunite or any of that stuff to build anything, because these machines. And where was the thing? Oh shit! I closed that tab where they talked about it, where they actually had the color drawing of the machine. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I can't find it. You gotta go ahead and
one of the
continue.
photos he had?
Yeah, go ahead and continue. Go ahead and continue about him.
Okay.
I'm gonna find that real quick.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, he was a geologist. He was working for the government. Now, this is all after the fact. He's giving these talks. He talked from 1994 to 1996. He was on like the UFO tour circuit, basically, where they all travel the country and tell their stories to, people who pay money for it. Now, he talked about the Dulce, New Mexico base most of all. And according to him, in 1979, they had these big drillers, and one of these big drillers basically opened an entrance to an underground cavern. This underground cavern was inhabited already by alien life. Now, there was, of course, the aliens didn't like this, so there was an ensuing firefight, and supposedly, out of the 70 people that were down there, 67 of them were killed, Phil Schneider being one of the ones that survived, and the other two supposedly were basically under lock and key by the Canadian government.
Yeah, that was really gnarly the way that went down, according to him. He said it opened up the ground, and they basically fell into this cavern. And he said this when they saw the grays. Now, he said there's two kinds of grays. First of all, there's 13 alien species that we have been in contact with on this planet, supposedly.
Yeah, there were like 2 good species and 11 bad ones. Or something
And these are one of the grays. Now, the grays, there's 2 types of grays. There's the small grays, like you guys heard, that stupid fucking Kike Rogan movie, Paul. The little alien that that they find.
Yeah, I think everyone knows they're gray. It's like if you think
everyone knows. The Alamouse. Yeah, but these are large grays. These are like 8.5 feet tall. And he said that when they came up on them, that they had a smell. It was like worse, like a worse odor than the worst dumpster you could ever encounter, and he knew instantly that they were not the good type of aliens, and that he had to fire on them. So he pulled his gun, started shooting. He killed 2 of them because they are able to be killed. And one of the other ones did this little hand motion, and like a blue light shot out from him, from the alien itself, and hit Phil. And he said it opened him up like you were gutting a fish. Now, if you see pictures of Phil Schneider's body, he's got a crazy scar that goes all the way from like the top of his rib cage down through his stomach. So he's obviously been cut there. It blew 3 of his fingers off his left hand. Said that it blew his toenails off, like it fried his toenails off his body. and that one of the Green Berets who was down there with him risked his life. Actually, was killed by an alien pushing Phil out of the way, out of harm's way. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like that's a crazy story. And what did you say? 67 people went down there, and how many people died? Was it 64 people died? Is that how it went?
Well,
67.
70 people went down.
That's right. 70 people went down, and 67 people died. Yeah. So him and 2 other people who were put in nursing homes in Canada and kept under like lock and key until they died, basically. The only person to ever speak out about this is Phil Schneider, which a lot of people are like, well, he's the only one talking about it, so it's got to be fake. He's the only one. But we'll get into this in a minute. The way that he died kind of lends credence to the fact that he knew stuff he wasn't supposed to know.
Yeah, and when he went on these tours, he brought, the first thing anybody says is like, oh, do you have any evidence? And he brought with him some artifacts. He had like pictures of, he had a picture of the Bikini Atoll nuclear bomb testing, and there's a plane that the camera was on that took the picture. And on the wing of the plane, you can see like a UFO.
Mm-hmm. And strangely enough, about the Bikini Atoll thing, his father was involved with that. So his dad was involved with like 2 major nuclear tests, which is kind of weird that aliens were involved with that. And then his dad was there too, and he has the picture of that. It's kind of a weird.
Aliens tend to be involved with anything nuclear. Like, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard things before about aliens popping up, like UFOs popping up when the first, Trinity? Was that the first nuclear test happened? There's been aliens associated with space travel. Like, they tend to cluster around certain things that people
What about time travel?
I don't know about time travel. I think that's where the Sasquatches cluster. Not the aliens.
We finally figured out the answer to the fact question. It's the aliens.
Yeah. Yeah, so they tend to take an interest in any sort of nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
I know there's a bunch of other examples.
Well, they take an interest in a lot of war stuff in general. Even going back to like World War II, they're the Foo Fighters that the Germans were talking about that were flying around when they were testing their jets and stuff.
If aliens really are just kind of general supernatural beings, like we were saying earlier, we don't really think there's... Scott and I at least don't really think there's a huge difference between aliens and other sorts of things. Then,
Right.
like, they would be attracted to all sorts of things, like death, just anything that actually has to do with anything real people are experiencing, they would be there.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of destruction unleashed by a nuclear bomb is going to be extremely attractive to any sort of negative entity that wants to, suck up whatever emotions or souls or, whatever the fuck they feed off of. So It doesn't surprise me that they're attracted to nuclear weapons.
You guys know that the Dulce thing is right near where most of the cattle mutilations have been cited in the United States, right?
Yeah, Phil Schneider talked about I think he talked about cattle mutilations. He supposedly, he said that there was a treaty that President Eisenhower made with aliens.
The Alien Agenda Treaty, yeah.
Yeah, it's called was it the Geneva Treaty? I think it was.
Was it? I don't know. I don't remember. It's not written down. I watched the video and I might have missed that, but yeah.
I saw Geneva Treaty somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Well, anyway, the treaty between Eisenhower and these aliens basically was saying that the aliens would give the U.S. government certain technologies, and in exchange, the aliens would be allowed to kidnap and probe and do whatever the fuck they do, a certain number of animals and people every year. And the condition on their part was they had to inform the U.S. government of who they were doing this to. They had to basically present them a list of people. Supposedly, the aliens didn't really keep to their end of the bargain as far as letting the government know who all was getting kidnapped. They were kidnapping people and not telling the government. But I think it was back in the 80s that this kind of shifted into kidnappings of people, into like they were harvesting blood from basically companies that were creating blood for these aliens. Am I getting that correct or no?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
So the basically the abductions kind of leveled off after a certain period.
Mm-hmm. There seem to not be as many now as there were during like the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like a phenomenon. It's not really a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, how do we get started on this? We were talking about Eisenhower and the...
Are we talking about Eisenhower? No, we're talking about cattle mutilations.
Yeah.
Which Paul Benowitz mentioned that too.
Yeah, Paul Benowitz. There's a guy we can talk about for a minute. Real quick, let me. Yeah, he was into the. He was. How was he tied into the cattle mutilation?
He had a really interesting, like his story is really weird, but more specifically on the topic of cattle mutilation, he and this other guy, he had a weird name. It was like Dr. Leo Sprinkle.
Yeah, Leo Sprinkle. That's kind of a funny name. Yeah.
They heard from this woman, Myrna Hansen, that she had seen UFOs around Cimarron in New Mexico. And so they put her into hypnosis, and she revealed that Myrna and her son saw like aliens abduct like cows and other farm animals, and then they got abducted and they saw like vats of human parts in the UFO, and they had mind control devices implanted in them, which caused them to like, lose their memories. So they had to go into hypnosis to get them back. But he was really into that stuff. That really sent him over the edge on kind of his like alien thing. But I don't know. Do you want to get into him in the second hour, or?
Yeah, let's get into Benowitz in the second hour. There's some other stuff
about Thomas Costello then too.
Yeah, well, there's also some other stuff about Dulce that I want to talk about too. The Project Beta. You guys read about that at all? The Project Beta thing, and
that was a Benowitz. That was Paul Benowitz.
Yeah, that's Paul Benowitz. Yeah, we can get into it when we talk about Benowitz. What else? There's also even recently, the recently deceased Phil Coppens, from the Ancient Aliens show on the History Channel. He talked about Benowitz and the gaslighting.
38 years old.
Yeah,
heart attack.
Yeah, he died of a heart attack, and like we've talked about earlier on the show, on different episodes, how people die of things that maybe aren't natural but look natural. In our CIA episode, actually, I believe it was our Vault 7 episode, we talked about the CIA and their means of making people.
You know what we didn't even mention with Phil Schneider yet was how he died.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you guys want me to go over that real quick? How he died and like why?
Yeah, let's do that, and then get into the second hour. We can talk about all the and stuff.
So the thing about Phil that is crazy is when people hear his speeches, they're like, "Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, it's just fucking weird. Yeah, that's whatever." Then they see the artifacts that he has with him, the pictures and things and whatever, and then he mysteriously died.
He said he killed an FBI agent that tried to shoot him.
Oh, right, that's right.
He got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, whenever that video was taken, it was 2 weeks before that video, he'd gotten into a firefight with an FBI agent. He killed an FBI agent and took a shot to the shoulder. And when he notified the FBI, because I guess he checked the guy's wallet and saw that he had a badge or whatever, the FBI said, "Well, this kind of stuff happens." And that was all they said. Well, apparently this was like something that they didn't want to know about. Like they didn't want any publicity or whatever. So the things about so anyways, like I was saying, is that people think that he was nuts and whatever, aliens, blah blah blah. But then he died, and it was a really, really strange suicide. He wrapped a catheter hose 3 times around his own neck, and he tied like a half knot in the front, and it just sounds like a really weird way to kill yourself. So his wife wrote a list of things that she thought made it seem that this wasn't real. That he didn't commit suicide. Yeah. Okay. So number 1, there's no suicide note. 90% of suicides, there's a note. Number 2, Philip always told his friends if he ever committed, quote unquote, committed suicide, he'd been murdered. Also, that goes for me, by the way, guys. If anybody ever hears me committing suicide, they came and got me. Anyways, from a number of sources, including his tape lectures, he had borrowed a 9mm pistol. He felt that his family was being threatened and were in danger because of his lectures. All of his lecture materials, alien metals, and he had all kinds of stuff. What was the name of that one metal that he had? It was
it was Element 140, wasn't it?
Element 140, yeah, and we're up to what, Element 112?
I want to say it's 118. We're up to
118. Whatever.
I think we recorded it. It was 108 or something, 104.
Okay, yeah, it was 104 when he recorded it. Yeah, and he had
article 100 basically only exists in minuscule laboratory conditions, and there's less than 1 million of these atoms. It's basically nothing.
Yeah. Right, and he had large chunks of this stuff. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, so his his alien metals, his math, his higher math books, his photos of the UFOs coming out of the Operation Crossroad A-bomb, which is the Bikini Atoll. The notes for his book on the alien agenda, because he was writing a book that never got finished. All that stuff was missing. However, everything else in the apartment was still there, including gold coins, his wallet with $300 in it, his jewelry, mineral specimens that were not above whatever the periodic table. That no coroner ever came out to his apartment, which is against Oregon law. The police never really took under consideration that the items were missing from his apartment. It's considered a suicide, and that was it. The medical examiner took blood and urine samples at the autopsy, but refused to analyze them, saying that the county would not waste their money on a suicide. And his wife said that even though she was assured that the samples would be kept for a year, when she asked for them at 10, 11 months, she was told they were missing and had been presumed destroyed, which is really, against policy. He had missing fingers on his left hand, and he had limited motion in his shoulders because he'd been shot in the fucking shoulder, right? So how would it be possible for somebody to have held the rubber hose in his left hand with 3 missing fingers? He basically had his thumb, most of his thumb, and his pinky, basically, is what he had. So he would have had to... What's that?
I said, damn, son, that's...
Yeah, those are blown off by the aliens. So with his left hand, he's going to hold the hose and then wrap the hose 3 times around his neck with a shoulder that had a bullet through it. And then in order to end up where his body ended up, he basically had to sit on the end of his bed, wrap the hose around his neck, and then slowly and painfully strangle himself to death, and then fall headfirst into a wheelchair. That doesn't sound at all like how somebody's going to kill themselves.
So there's pictures of his body, and it looks like he was beaten really severely.
Oh, yeah.
He was beaten past the point of black and blue, where it's black and silver.
He was a chemical expert. He was a geologist, right? And he also knew his own medical needs. So he had all kinds of pills on hand that could have killed him if he took the wrong amounts, right? Painlessly. He also had a 9mm that he borrowed. Right, he had a gun. So he had a gun and he had pills. Why strangle yourself in such a painful and unusual manner? That's weird. He was super religious. I believe he was an Orthodox Christian. He did not believe in suicide. So there in and of itself is just another, just a strange fucking dichotomy there. He was in intense chronic pain all the time. He was on disability. He had a housekeeper, and he had cancer and multiple sclerosis. So, I mean, like, he had an operation to help him with his back pain that didn't work. He still had a pain. So basically, he struggled every day to stay alive. So, you know what I mean? Like, he struggled every day not to die, Yeah,
he thought his work was so important.
Right, because he felt, his lectures were making a difference. He was actually scheduled for a lecture tour, right after it was started, like a week after he died. He had a friend who was going to help him write the book. Like, he had been enjoying spending time with his daughter. Just none of this stuff makes sense. He had actually been undergoing injections of something called beta-serone every week in an experiment to stop his MS. So his wife contacted the agency that supposedly conducted these experiments and to obtain his medical record, which is the OHSU, which, Adam, that's what's that? The Oregon.
It's just like the Oregon Health, whatever. It's a hospital university.
Right.
Really
They'd never heard of him.
Hospital.
They'd never heard of him, and he was not part of their experiments. So basically, this suggests that people unknown were injecting him on a weekly basis with an unknown substance. He would call his wife after his shots to tell her, that he was too sick to see his daughter, to come and visit or whatever. She believed that the shots Philip thought he was being given to help him back to health were actually being given to make him sick. And like we said before, like when we did our Vault 7 episode, we know that the CIA and other alphabet agencies, and even this is beyond alphabet, I'm going to say, but are known to make people sick and kill people. Anyways, number 11. Philip had been seen with an unknown blonde-haired woman for several months before his death. A few times this same individual was seen. He mentioned her, whatever. It just kind of makes you wonder if she had anything to do with these quote-unquote suicide. And this, whether or not you believe in psychic or whatever, this is the Paranormies, psychics. Several people with psychic abilities have indicated that Philip did not commit suicide, but he was murdered, some say by 5 people, 4 men and 1 woman, 1 woman being the blonde woman, 4 directly and 1 by taking out a contract. So, these are really crazy reasons as to why it doesn't seem like this would be a suicide,
Yeah, nothing points to a suicide.
Yeah,
like none.
I mean, the pictures of him after he was dead.
Dude, it's not just his face. Like, okay, so if he strangled himself, I could see like his face turning that funny color. But it's like his chest is all black too. Like he was beaten on his chest, bruised on his chest.
And like it's all over.
So I've seen pictures of people who have hung themselves before, and it doesn't really look like that. I mean, there'll be some discoloration, but like his whole body to look like it's been hit by a truck, like it doesn't look like he hung himself or he strangled himself.
Yeah, no, none of that. Well, even one of his friends, before he even started lecturing, one of his friends, Ron Rummel, who was helping him with some of this stuff, collaborating on the Alien Digest magazine and whatever. Ron was found dead, committed quote-unquote suicide, but there was no blowback blood on his hand, no blowback blood on the gun. Basically, he shot himself through the mouth, out the back of his head, and wiped the gun off before he died. So...
Yeah, I might be getting the numbers wrong, but he had, like, out of, 22 friends, 11 of them had died in, the past couple years before his death.
Yeah, in the strangest sort of manners, too, yeah.
And 8 of those 11 were classified as suicides. That's so statistically unlikely as to be pretty much impossible. Unless you're in, a Jim Jones cult, you're not going to get 8 out of 11 people dying from suicide.
Yeah.
It's like 1% of the population.
Right.
Not, 80-some% of the population.
That's crazy. All right, so let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll discuss a whole bunch of other shit. We've already gone past the first hour. This is a good one, guys. I like this. There's some really interesting stuff going on. It's so interesting. Now, we'll listen to a song, and we've got CYBERNAZI with Gas the Xenos Galactic War Now. We'll be back. All right, everybody, we're back. We are talking about deep underground military bases and their ties to aliens and other weird shit that happens with these people that are involved with them, like Philip Schneider. We went over his death. There were some other guys that were involved with Phil Schneider. Adam, you wanted to talk about one of those, right? What was his name there?
We should hit on Paul Benowitz. We should touch on Paul. I can't say and not double entendre. Let's talk about Paul Benowitz.
Yeah.
So he was he in the 70s owned a little electronics company called Thunder Scientific Corporation in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he noticed that he was seeing a lot of like lights in the sky and like strange objects flying in and out of this Air Force base near him. And he thought that was really strange, and like his wife also commented on it and that sort of thing. He went to he started taking pictures of that sort of thing that he saw, and he detected electromagnetic transmissions coming from near Dulce, New Mexico. And I'm not exactly sure on the timeline of all this stuff, but he wanted to find out what was going on, and he noticed that they were all going to the Air Force Base and that sort of thing. So he contacted some people there and wanted to show them his findings, all the pictures of the stuff that he saw in the sky and the electromagnetic transmissions that he was picking up and recorded, that sort of thing. He, and again, I'm not really totally sure on the timeline of all this, but he did eventually get a meeting with them, and he showed, I don't know, somebody who was in charge there. He met with them and he showed them all this stuff, and then Richard Doty, one of the people there, took some interest in it, and he was in the Air Force Special Investigations Office, I believe. And there's kind of some conflicting reports because Paul Benowitz started getting information from Richard Doty about this stuff. And according to Richard Doty, he did it. I don't remember if it was like an interview with HuffPo or something like that. But he said that he was feeding him false info.
Yeah, he basically said that like he was yanking Benowitz's chain for like the entire time he knew him. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the same story I heard on Coast to Coast one time. If I remember correctly, he felt bad about it, like towards the end of his life, or towards the end of Paul Benowitz's life, I believe. And he tried to explain to him, like, look, dude, I made a lot of this stuff up. I was, like, basically mind-fucking you the entire time. And he just didn't believe it. Like, he thought, like, no, there's no way. Like, I've known you so long. So, basically, I don't want to say the word brainwashed, but he basically tricked him into thinking that all this stuff was real.
It was more gaslighting than brainwashing, to be honest.
Yeah, gaslighting, I guess.
And that's the thing, is that Paul Benowitz was, whether it was induced in him or aroused naturally, he was like a delusional paranoid. He checked himself into a mental hospital for paranoia. And so there's sort of a question of like, was he just like crazy and weird, or did he actually find out something that was real and they wanted to make sure he wasn't able to, look coherent, like they wanted to sabotage his reputation so nobody would believe him, and then did they just gaslight him with a bunch of stuff? I mentioned it earlier, I think.
Well, didn't somebody say that excuse me, that like somebody was actually able to confirm that Doty did give Benowitz documents, like they were actually like gaslighting type documents, even though Doty lied and told senators like under oath that he didn't? So like,
yeah, that's the problem with this story is there's so many conflicting accounts. Like, I don't even know if what he told Benowitz was fake. Like, was he lying to him back then, and then later he told him the truth and said, "Yeah, I made this up," or was he trying to cover his tracks and say, "Oh no, that was real"? Like it's
or maybe he was trying to tell him something else that they had already pre-agreed about.
Yeah,
right. But I mean, they've even done like FOIA. They've done like Freedom of Information Act stuff on this, and they've gotten the documents. No, they got the documents. You know, like, and some of these documents actually say, you know, like real things. So I don't know. It's such. This is where the misinformation comes in a lot with this. So I don't really know what to believe with this Doty story, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, is the whole thing disinfo to confuse us? I don't mean us as in the Paranormies, of course, but like, you know.
No, we're always
in
confused.
The fucking Huffington. Yeah, of course. We don't read books. We just get confused.
Yeah.
No, you guys just read the chapter titles, and that's how you read books. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just.
No, actually, I don't even do that. That's like
we're
just making fun of you. I just read. This is not going to make any sense in the context of the episode because all those bans happened in between.
Implying bans ever happened.
Anyways. Or did they? Are we gaslighting our audience?
Let's time travel and figure it out.
You first, buddy.
Oh no! After
you first, I'll be right behind you. Hint, hint. Anyway.
But yeah, like it's in the Huffington Post. Like.
Yeah.
Why would the Huffington Post publish this?
Why does Huffington Post post anything? I mean, like, literally,
it's like, this is going to be a really, really gay reference, so I apologize. But do you remember in The Princess Bride with the poison thing? And, like, one of the things was poison.
Dude, that's
iocane powder.
That's not gay.
Nothing.
Okay.
There's absolutely nothing gay about The Princess Bride. You take that shit back right now.
I thought it was gay.
Well, anyway, you're gay.
So, well, I did time travel, so. But like that's the kind of mind fucking that's going on. Like, is what he said back then real, and now it's not? Is like both of these things not real? I don't know. It's just
right. Did he actually say that back then? Is it like a Is the document forged?
How can aliens
what he say?
Real if the documents aren't real?
Like. It was in the Huffington Post for a reason. It's just I don't know what the reason is. Like, how many levels of gaslighting are they on right now? You know,
maybe 2. You were like, little baby, watch this.
Well, anyway, what's also interesting is that Paul Benowitz started the project beta thing that he wanted to expose as much as he could about the Dulce base, and also. He apparently had plans for like a paramilitary takeover of the base. Like he wanted to work with the Air Force to construct a sort of like an invasion plan to liberate the humans and stuff that were there and like fight the aliens.
Whoa. Speaking of Project Beta, so Paul said that he spent like 2 years tracking alien crafts, right? He had now how did I forgot how he was tied to the cattle mutilations?
Is that woman that
was that the Myrna Hansen?
Yeah, Myrna Hansen.
Okay. So he had spent a couple years tracking alien craft. He said that he had constant reception of video from an alien ship in an underground base view screen, and he had actually established communication with aliens using a computer and some sort of a hexadecimal code with graphics and a printout, and claims to have used aerial and ground photography to locate these alien ship launch ports and charged beam weapons. So he said that the aliens were devious, they employed deception, and did not adhere to the agreement, which was what was it? Who did you say it was? Truman? Eisenhower? Truman? Which president?
It was Eisenhower was the one that did
Eisenhower, the alien agenda. Yeah, right. So he was working on a weapon that would actually counter the aliens. So, sounds like science fiction, right? I mean, like, it's crazy. But this is kind of the place where, like, science fiction becomes, like, science fact. So, Benowitz investigated a case of a woman named Myrna Hansen of New Mexico who had been reported, excuse me, been taken to an underground facility in May of 1980. Krista Tilton of Oklahoma says that she had an experience of missing time in July 87, where she had been abducted by 2 small gray aliens and transported to their craft in a hillside location where she encountered a man dressed in a red military-type jumpsuit. She'd taken through a tunnel, through computerized checkpoints, and she'd been weighed. Remember we were talking about in Dulce where they weigh everybody? They said that they stopped at a level where, on a scale-like device facing a computer screen, the computer issued her an identification card, just like, was it level 4 of Dulce? And she was told by her guide that they just entered level 1 of a 7-level underground facility. So she goes on and talking about how she went down to level 5, where she saw alien crafts and little gray aliens running around. In one room, she saw computerized gauges hooked up to big tanks with large arms. And there was all kinds of humming sounds, and she said she smelled formaldehyde, which they use to preserve bodies after dead. And that she said she made drawings of these, and she drew gray aliens and the big tanks and whatever. There was a set of papers called the Dulce papers, which were stolen from the Dulce underground facility, with about 30 black and white pictures and a video. There's a security officer who took the paper, claims to have worked at Dulce until 79, when he decided it was time to part company with the employers because of his personal feelings.
You're talking about Thomas Costello.
Yeah, it's Costello, yeah. So, he couldn't really deal with the reality he had to confront. He was a high-level security agent. He took the 30 pictures of the complex, and there was, I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how he supposedly took those pictures with the amount of cameras that they supposedly had. They supposedly removed a security tape from the control center, which showed camera views of the hallways, the labs, the aliens, the government personnel, which were green and black berets. I don't know if you guys, everybody's heard of the green berets, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the black berets are like the black budget special ops, supposedly.
Or the entire United States Army for a few years.
Right.
They did have the black berets for a while.
Right. So he supposedly shut off the alarm and the camera system in like one of the exits so he could get out without being seen. He went into hiding. And when he went to pick up his wife and kid, there was a van and government agents waiting for him. His wife and child were kidnapped. So he was betrayed by one of his coworkers who told on him, basically. And he's now. I guess he's now. Is he dead? Is Thomas dead now?
Well, I don't know. Do we even know if he ever really existed?
Right, he disappeared. Is that what he disappeared? Correct.
He apparently lives in like Costa Rica and in Limon, in a little shanty that he paid $11 for.
Right, but he actually worked for the Rand Corporation at one point.
If he's real,
right?
If he's real,
I don't even know if this dude exists because
those those documents. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say the only evidence of his existence is basically this interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, he said
he's. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no. You go ahead. You finish.
I'll get into this interview a little bit later because it's very perplexing to me. But earlier you mentioned all those documents, and he says that he sent so there was the photos, the video, diagrams, chemical formulas, copy of the treaty, and some alien documents and stuff. And he has 5 sets of those, like 5 sets of the copies of that stuff, which he has given to 5 people that he knows and to some guy named Branton. And he also hid a set with the originals of all the stuff, along with his flash gun, and he's hidden that somewhere in an apparently oxygen-free plastic box that, you know, is like weatherproofed and all that stuff. But of course, he doesn't say where any of that is or who any of those people are. According to this interview, that, you know, maybe isn't real.
Yeah, I mean, like, and he said there was like 18,000 of the Greys at the facility.
Yeah,
that's a lot of aliens.
Which
he said he saw. Yeah, he said he saw reptilian humanoids.
The Draco.
Yeah, the Dracos. Yeah, he said he came face to face with a 6-foot-tall reptoid, which had actually materialized in his house. So the reptoid it was looking for. The reptoid took a bunch of maps that were basically like a bunch of like push pins and like the string. You've seen the whole, you know, like laying out of murder sites and whatever. Like, what is it, like in the CSI where the cops do the deal in the map, you know?
Yeah,
but it was the sites of animal mutilations, caverns, locations of high UFO activity, repeated flight paths, abduction sites, ancient ruins, and suspected alien underground bases. So those maps disappeared with this reptoid. So I mean, dude, this is actually what they consider like the actual Area 51, where what we know as Area 51 is just a ruse. You know, this is the actual alien underground base. They say that there's tube shuttles, which are some sort of electromagnetic trains that float about, according to Phil Schneider, about 3/4 of an inch off the rail and travel at Mach 2. Mach fucking 2 trains.
Yeah, and little vacuum chambers.
Mm-hmm. Between like
Japanese trains that get pretty close to that now, or am I?
Mach 2?
I mean, they're doing all sorts of stuff in Asia with trains, but not Mach 2.
Not Mach 2.
Dude, Mach 2, Mach 1, maybe. Like breaking the speed of sound. Are you fucking kidding me? Twice the speed of sound? Come on,
yeah,
dude.
that's a good point. I made a very dumb comment.
Right? What do you read books?
They have those light speed trains.
What do you read books, Scott? Jesus Christ.
Oh, clearly not.
Yeah, clearly.
Why would I
Clearly you don't read the chapter titles of books. Anyways,
Not even.
he said that all the signs on the doors and the hallways are in this alien language and some sort of universal language, which is understood by both humans and aliens.
Yeah, he says it's like very It's like logically constructed. This whole interview, I think, is dubious. I don't know.
No, it's definitely dubious. I mean, like, who knows, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff I'd like to say about it, but if
go ahead. You're on the Paranormies. Go ahead.
I'll tread a little bit of stuff you already mentioned, but like according to him, he was a security guard and he was only ever in one wing, which there's so much stuff that he didn't see. That he says, like, you know, he only saw like the tiniest fraction of what was in there. And he says that, you know, they're all connected by tunnels. Dulce was built in 1937 to 1938, according to him. And the like local Indians there know about it, and they see like Bigfoot and that kind of stuff. And he also says that it's lighted with this stuff called phosphorus pentoxide, which he doesn't know the origin of it. Just from the name, it's like a really simple chemical. It's just phosphorus that's bonded to 5 other oxygen molecules, which doesn't sound very stable. And it produces like light that's very similar to sunlight, and the gray aliens don't like it. And he also mentions later that they're very sensitive to light, and you can use like a flashlight or a camera flash to like it won't like harm them, but they won't like it, and they'll probably retreat. And according to him, the Draco humanoids are like the ruling caste, and they have a really weird diet. That and they never like eat around other people, and they are. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, which are the ones that actually feed on our adrenal gland?
Feed on
It's
what?
the grays. The grays. That's the large grays that feed on the secretions from our adrenal gland, the adrenochrome.
That might have been them. They
Okay.
eat a lot of like basically just blended up body like organs.
Okay, that's the other thing is I've heard that the certain grays actually feed on they don't eat they eat humans, which is why they take the humans in like captive or whatever, but they don't eat our body, they don't eat our bones, they don't eat our flesh. They actually eat the secretions from our glands. It's kind of like what Phil Schneider said. It's like cocaine for them. The adrenal gland secretions. They call it adrenochrome. Now, if you guys have ever seen the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you guys remember that? Anybody watch that movie?
Yes.
I read the
but I've never
title
seen
of it.
I've read the title.
I got
hate you guys right
I
now.
watched the trailer.
No, but in the movie,
I saw the title of the
damn it.
trailer.
God damn it. No, but for real. Okay, in the movie, so these guys actually talk about doing a drug called adrenochrome, which is formulated from the adrenal gland of human beings. Now, this is something that this guy, talked about. Who is this? This is
Thomas Costello.
Thank you, Costello. I was gonna say Costello, but no, it's Costello. But he actually talked about this, and the aliens actually did this. So it's kind of weird that in a movie they talk about adrenochrome, and they use the exact same word, adrenochrome. Kind of weird to me. I kind of
Okay,
caught that.
so
and I was
here's
like-
my question:
I was like,
which
wow.
came first? Did this interview come out first, or did the movie come out first?
The movie came out in the early 2000s. The interview came out in the 90s. So
Okay.
So this interview was definitely first.
yeah, definitely. So you're talking about the different alien races. So you've got the Greys and the Reptoid races.
And
what-
the Dracos.
the Dracos, the Reptoids.
He
Yeah.
says the ruling reptilians are pale or beige, and there's like green and brown ones that are the laborers, and the grays are controlled by the Draco. He also says that the aliens are probably
It's weird that they're controlled by the reptilians.
yeah, the white ones at that.
Right.
And he says that they're probably antediluvian beings that got flooded because they were trying to mix their science with occult magic, which is a little weird. And one of the, like, he talks about this weird fascist Nazi arm of the CIA, which
Oh, God.
would be fucking great if it existed, but of course it doesn't, as far as I can tell. And one thing that really calls into question for him, maybe I'm misinformed, but he says that the guards carry like Uzi submachine guns. And that to
Israeli
me,
guns?
like those. Well, here's what gets me about it is like, if I recall correctly, and I might be wrong, I'm pretty sure those were created specifically for like hit and run ambushes where you're gonna like drive up next to someone, open the window and just like spray 30 bullets.
Unload 2,200 bullets real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Not
like
even that, but they're Israeli guns. Like they're not even like
Well, I
used
said that.
by the United States.
right.
I said that already. Yeah.
And it just seems like if they need guards to be able to like hit things that they shoot at, why would they give them like ambush? Like, why wouldn't they just have longer guns? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And so that it's like it seems like it was written by someone who was trying to like think of a really intimidating idea. And he talks about like Masons that are above the 33rd degree. He says HW was like a 42nd or higher degree Mason. And like, so there's the Bavarian Illuminati, which is the Lucifer cult, and their base is at Dulce. And, or no, sorry, I think I got that wrong. No, I was right. So the Dulce base is the Bavarian Illuminati bad guy alien base, and the USA Judeo-Christian Constitutional Republic faction has the Denver base, is like their capital.
Okay, so the Denver...
This is where I tap out. Like,
yeah, this is where Scott's like, I'm not doing the Illuminati thing. We'll do aliens.
No, not even the well, that's part of it, but Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
Come on.
Judeo! Okay,
Okay, so here's the thing about all of this. Like, the Illuminati thing makes me think this probably isn't real, because it's like the go-to, like, bad guys.
Right. No, I get that. I get
way
that.
And also the
avoid
fascist
talking about
Nazis.
things rather than actually being, a real
Hold
thing.
on.
What?
Right.
The
right.
Illuminati is there so you don't have to talk about Jews.
Yeah, well, that's
Right.
part of it. And
Hey,
the Illuminati is
guys,
supposed to
we
be
didn't
fighting-
talk about Jews last episode.
Oh, really?
Let's here we're gonna pull a Kevin McDonald. Let's talk about Jews.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the Illuminati, like, because I think you mentioned once, you said, like, if this is such a good theory, then, like, can you name somebody in the Illuminati? Like, that's the thing, we can name
Exactly.
Jews, like George Soros,
Yeah.
the Rockefellers,
Right.
the
Any of them.
Rothschilds, like, here are the names, we have proof that
Nancy
these guys are
Pelosi,
subversive.
fucking Dianne Feinstein, Bernie Sanders. Like, we can name Jews that are in the New World Order, you know. But
There's a really great website for that. Not specifically Jews, but it's
is it Jew or
it's
not
called
Jew.com?
ISGP Studies, and basically it's this guy from like the Netherlands or somewhere, and he documents like who's in all of these like NGOs and non-governmental organizations, and like there's people that are in like 30 or 40 of these things.
Can you post a
So
link to
you
that?
can name. Yeah, I could.
I do that. Yeah.
You can name specific people, like, if you want to. But when you say the Illuminati, you're just conjuring up this, like, emotional idea. Like, it's an emotional tactic rather than like, a concrete fact.
No, and it really is.
And
It's
then
it's
people
it's
think-
some sort of dark, like boogeyman. You know.
Yeah, like, if someone says the Illuminati, like, the reason they say that is to get you to think of these guys sitting around, like, a smoky table. And, like, they've got a map of the world, and they're, like, moving pieces around or something. You know?
Yeah, but kind of they do though.
Yeah, I mean, they do. People in charge do that, but when you say the Illuminati, you're making almost an emotional appeal.
It's like
rather than-
Eyes Wide Shut,
Yeah.
like you've got these people
Yeah.
doing rituals.
Poor Stanley Kubrick. He filmed the moon landing and then died because he told us about Eyes Wide Shut.
F.
Yeah, that's why Shut's a weird one. Like,
It really is.
because they
Um,
cut out a bunch of footage and shit.
Yeah, they really did. Well, they released it before they knew what was going on. So, anyways, so let's get back to these alien species real quick. So the Greys and the Reptoid, right? These species? Mm-hmm. The different... Okay. So the Greys and the Reptoid, they're very highly analytical and technologically oriented.
Yeah, they don't have like jokes. They don't have.
No, they don't understand humor. They don't understand
That
nuance.
feel when too intelligent to have humor.
Right? That feel when you're the Kurt Doolittle of aliens. Like, you know.
He says that they are like a hive mind.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
humans
They're like...
try to introduce like let them into human. They wanted to like teach them empathy and stuff, and so they like allowed them.
They couldn't into
human
they couldn't into that. Yeah.
Well, no, but then they just use that to mind control people.
Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, this is this thing that you believe. We'll take it over. It's like the Borg. They're like the Borg. Okay, so they've had like ancient conflicts with Nordic humans from other space societies, supposedly. They're really into computing and bioengineering sciences. They do experiments without any sort of ethical or empathetic conduct towards the creatures they're doing the experiments on. So like they don't have the whole like PETA, oh, we can't put the soap in the rabbit's eyes because it's bad. No, they put the soap in the rabbit's eyes and they light the shit on fire. You know, they're like, okay, that's what happens. So there's government organizations involved with this. The quote-unquote so-called Human Genome Project is... You guys have heard of that, right?
What is it now? You cut out.
The Human Genome... If you guys pay attention...
Oh, yeah. No, you just cut out. You
joking. The Human Genome Project.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard the title of it.
Yeah, that is actually a different...
an expert.
I've heard the title. You've never heard the title. You need my
Tells you
titles.
what you know, didn't it?
God damn it! Tells you
Yeah,
everything you need to know is right in the title.
The human genome.
Right. But do you know who's? But do you know who's behind the Human Genome Project?
Some dude.
No, the Department of
He
Energy.
has some doctor with a name that I'll take as a title. Wait, he's got a doctor title that tells me everything I need to know. He's a smart dude, probably.
Okay, are you done? No, it's the Department of Energy.
The Department.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Of energy.
Yeah. That's really who's behind the Human Genome Project is Department of Energy and the National Institute of Health.
Okay. Aren't they in charge of like power plants and like
Yeah,
nuclear
which is weird, right? Why would the Department of Energy and the National Institute of Health be involved in the Human Genome Project? Kind of weird, right?
Well, I can understand the National Institute of Health map out
Right,
diseases.
but why would they both be there? And also, of course, the National Science Foundation, the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and of course the Dulce Underground Labs are all part of the genetic experiments for the Los Alamos and Dulce base. So it's weird. Anyways, so
The weirdest one's definitely the DOE.
yeah, why though, right? Weird. So, according to Thomas, the alien androgenal breeder is... This is kind of unrelated, but have you guys ever heard of parthenogenesis?
Yes, that's where
Isn't that
you
where, like,
can...
two men have a...
No,
One at a
it's
time.
where
One at a time, niggas.
Show off
Oh,
my...
God.
Let me show off my big brain. That's where like a lizard can lay a fertilized egg without actually having had sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Polyambrony.
See, I knew that from the title. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's in Greek.
polyambrony. God damn it. Each embryo can and does divide into 6 to 9 individual cuni, or siblings. Yeah, it's some sort of the developing cuni is supplied by the formula, which consists of like deoxyhemoglobin, albumin, lysine, catenin, albumin, and other fluids. The term genome is used to describe the tonality of the chromosomes unique to the particular organism or any cell within an organism, as distinct from the genotype, which the information is contained within these chromosomes. So basically, human genes are mapped to specific chromosomal locations by this. So this is some sort of weird project that's going to take a lot of computer power and time to actually like make humans do this. You know what I mean? So
That's okay. That's very interesting.
right, but that comes out of Dulce though. So like these are also Dulce.
Yeah.
The thing is that Thomas said that the aliens don't want our land, they don't want our gold, they don't want our minerals, they don't want our water, they don't even want the humans, the animal. What they want is magnetic power. They want the magnetic power of the poles of the Earth. So they said that the aliens actually harvest the magic power of the magneticism, the magic power of the magneticism of the Earth, in a way that's unbeknownst to us. But they say that the aliens recognize this magnetic power as something more valuable than any other commodity on the globe. So I don't know, man. Like, his story's fucking crazy. Okay.
And here's another weird thing that seems like totally out of the blue in his interview. Late in it, about 3/4 of the way, they ask if he stays in the U.S. or not, and he says he visits sometimes. And he talks about how he settled in Costa Rica, and when he was in Mexico, he was a mercenary basically, and then he settled in Costa Rica. And then the next question they ask him is, what is the best city in Costa Rica for an American to visit and maybe move to live? And he just, like, apparently without skipping a beat, he's just, like, starts talking about, like, oh, yeah, Limon is nice. It's got, get past the tourist sections and, you can see some nice weather, great beaches. And, like, what the hell does that have to do with anything?
Well, what is Limon, Ben?
What?
Why does that not have to do with anything with Costa Rica, then?
Why are they asking him where they should visit in Costa Rica for a vacation spot when he's talking about a fucking underground alien military base?
Right.
Maybe to verify, to see, like, if his story holds up. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is what's gonna be the thing that, like...
this is the thing! Yeah.
Back when this came out, you couldn't just Google, like, oh crap, what's a good vacation spot in Costa Rica?
And that's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Like, this still sounds really weird to me.
No, it should sound weird because it's really weird and it's alien. And they talk about aliens and reptilians and greys and 2 different kinds of greys and 13 types of fucking aliens and shit. And, like, it's a lot of stuff.
Like, anybody could have visited Costa Rica.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But
anybody could have been in Limon.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what's the consensus on this guy? Do you think he's bullshit, or do you think?
I think it's bullshit.
You think it's bullshit? You think Thomas is bullshit?
I'm leaning towards it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think parthenogenesis is a real thing? Like polyembryony?
No, that's a real thing. But that's like
he could have taken info from somewhere else and just like fabricated it.
Yeah, parthenogenesis is a real, like, you can look it up on Wikipedia. It's a real thing, but that doesn't mean...
Oh, if it's on Wikipedia, it has to be real.
Working on...
Gotcha.
No. Dude, are you fucking...
Did you read the titles? Did you read the titles to the chapters?
I'm literally saying that lizards can lay eggs without being fertilized.
No, I know. That's really... That in and of itself, parthenogenesis, that whole thing is... really weird because only lizards can do that.
Yeah.
And there kind of like gives like the whole reptilian thing kind of a little bit of credence, just a little bit.
Shit.
Yeah, that's a good point, but like,
let's not forget the fact that reptilians are involved in this and that there's parthenogenesis. So
yeah. Okay, here's the
and that reptilians are Jews. Right. Let's not forget that part.
The thing that makes me think this whole thing is bullshit is the guy was supposedly a security guard. Mm-hmm. How does he have knowledge of all these projects as a security guard? Like, if you go to the Apple headquarters and you talk to a random security guard, he's not going to know the next big iPhone 12 whatever features that are going to be dropped whenever the new iPhone comes out. He's a security guard. His job is to throw people out if they're causing problems.
Right.
So how does the security guard at this top secret underground base have any
know
idea
all this shit. No, I get that. Yeah.
Are doing parthenogenesis.
But if you look at Benowitz's tapes, though, his films and stuff, I don't know.
I'm not saying Benowitz is bullshit. I'm saying Thomas Costello.
Oh, you're saying Tom? Okay. I'm sorry.
Just him.
Okay.
I'm not
just
saying
him.
anything else is bullshit.
I'm saying
Personally, I think the Phil Schneider thing is probably real. Like,
so you're saying that Phil Schneider ran into into at least 3 8-foot tall grays and killed 2 of them and got his fingers blown off by one.
Well, I will say this. I don't know if he did that, but I think he definitely said something he wasn't supposed to, judging by the way he was found. So I think that, we can use the evidence of his death to kind of lean towards the fact that he's probably telling the truth. Whereas Thomas Costello, we don't even know if he exists.
Right. That's the weird thing about Thomas Costello is, like, does he or does he not even exist? Like, what the fuck?
What the source of this interview is.
Why? Like, hold on a second. Why are you guys even bringing this? Like, what? This unsourced crap to the show? Really, Adam?
Right.
Really?
We have the highest standards of verification.
Like really?
Your soul
Paranormies are
name.
So sorry, all 5 fans. No, I'm kidding. Listen, we love all 5,000 of you guys that listen to us every week. It's gotten up to 5,000, by the way.
We only love all of our fans because it's still below Dunbar's number, so we can still think of them as individual people.
Listen, we want to get to Fash the Nation numbers. So,
so you want to leave all these great fans of ours behind? You want to get out of the underground? You dick.
I
want
to. Hey, Goyam, you guys want to buy T-shirts?
When you learned that this was a cash cow, yeah.
You Goyam want to buy T-shirts? No.
All that sweet Paranormies bucks.
Are you right? All those Paranormies. Hey, Adam, how's that boom working out for you?
Oh, it's very nice.
All right. Paranormies bucks in action. My sweet sound deadening filter. Goyam helped out. Listen, we love you, Goyam. We do. Every single one of you that listen to us, we love you. Not gonna lie. Except for Death, he hates all you people for some weird reason.
All right, so can we call this one? I think my opinion is Phil Schneider's stuff is real. Thomas Costello is made up, and Paul Benowitz probably got gaslit a little bit, but I think there's something to it.
I think the thing about Paul Benowitz, like the thing with Paul Benowitz is like, yeah, I'm 50-50 with him. There was things that went on that he believed that he actually like had. Like when he interviewed those people, whatever, like that was real. And then when that other guy got a hold of him, it just went straight in the fucking dumpster.
Well, and that's the thing about disinfo is they don't put 100% falsehoods out there. They muddy it up so you can't tell what's true and what isn't true. So yeah,
they do that on purpose.
Something he said, yeah, of course. So there's probably something he said that was true. It's just good luck finding out which of the things it is. So right. I don't think you can necessarily go off of anything he says just because I don't know what's real and what's not.
I don't either. It's a lot of crazy bullshit.
Phil Schneider, I think, was onto something. I don't know if it was.
I honest to God, no, 100%. I believe Phil Schneider was. Excuse me. Phil Schneider was telling the truth. He told everything as he saw it. Things that happened to him. I mean, the guy was shot. Got fingers blown off. Like, he's opened up.
Yeah.
Like somebody filleted a fucking fish.
Something did that to him.
And the other thing is, looking at his scars, those are not surgical scars. Those are not your typical scars caused by injury and then sewn up and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't have heart surgery, and that's a heart surgery scar.
Right. His chest got blown open from his collarbone to his fucking crotch.
Right.
Yeah. So,
brave man, Jesus Christ.
A very brave man, and guess what, people? There are aliens living underground, right where you live. So, according to Mr. Phil Schneider. Shit. We are coming up on about, it's not quite the end of the second hour, but fuck, man, that's
we
like
ran a little over on the first one.
we did run over on the first hour, but that's like, this is fucking crazy. The fact that this is even a thing that we're talking about underground alien bases in the United States, and not just
of these. Like,
there's 100, dude. There's according to depending on who you talk to, there's 120 to 140 of them. I mean, and these things are connected by these trains that that Phil Schneider was talking about that run at Mach 2. Mach 2 airplanes. The fastest airplane in the world runs at about a Mach 1.5. You're talking twice the speed of sound. These trains are running on electromagnetic rails where they're not touching anything physically. They're actually floating about 3/4 of an inch off a metallic rail, and they're going Mach 2, which is literally twice the speed of sound. So you can get from Seattle to New York in seconds. In a vacuum chamber. In seconds. You get from Seattle to New York in seconds. Crazy. Now, the thing is these dumbs, these deep underground military bases. Now, you guys remember 9/11, right? Everybody remembers 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember 9/10?
You talking about when Donald Rumsfeld admitted to like $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about something else? Yeah. No,
I am.
I don't remember it happening, but I remember
yeah.
reading about it.
You guys remember reading about Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense, the day before 9/11, said on CNN that the Pentagon could not account for over $2 trillion. Now, if you can come up with a different reason for why this money disappeared, $2 trillion. Trillion. Not million, not billion, trillion. Disappeared.
A lot of hookers and blow.
Yeah, you can't spend that money. You can't. There's not enough hookers and blow. Colombia couldn't produce that much blow. Anyways,
Right.
that money, anytime the government, the Pentagon, is missing money, I will 100% guarantee you it goes to the black budget. And it goes to the deep underground military bases, the dumbs we were talking about.
Well, it goes to something at least. Like,
well, it goes to something. The
lose
black
that
budget,
much
yeah.
money.
You can't.
Yeah,
you
black
can't lose that much money. You can't. It's physically impossible to lose that much money. But anyways, so yeah, man, this was fun. There's a lot more we can get into this. I mean, we can talk about alien stuff at another time, but I think we covered this pretty good. You guys, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we kind of exhausted it. I don't really know what else we can talk about because there's not that many accounts of this stuff.
Yeah, we can get into some
Which is kind of
conspiratorial,
freaky on
like,
its own,
craziness
assuming-
stuff, you know?
Well, assuming that this stuff is real, it's kind of creepy that there's like basically no one talking about it. You know, like how
Yeah.
many employees have to work at these places? Like it's got to be
Right?
a lot.
Well, you guys have seen the movies, like the Resident Evil, where they show the Raccoon City underground or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Implying that that's not real,
Well, it was in a movie.
you know? Well,
I
duh.
read the title of the movie.
I hate you.
I played the video game.
There was some
I played the video game before anybody else did. Not
I
even
read
kidding.
the title of the video game.
No, not even kidding. I actually, myself, Johnny Monoxide, actually played the Resident Evil video game before anybody else did. I had a Japanese release of the original Resident Evil in 1994
Damn, son.
that I played on a Japanese PlayStation.
You're a fucking weeb.
Yeah, Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my uncle works for Nintendo, and I was playing Pokemon Brown when I was 5.
You're a nigger.
Pretty cool. It had Digimon in it.
Yeah. Whatever. Digimon's for niggers.
My dad works for Nintendo. My dad works for Microsoft, and he's going to hack your account. So
I hate you guys. We'll be back next week with some more stuff. For therightstuff.biz, I am Johnny Monoxide with Scott Taylor, Adam Haidt, my man, Death. We have been the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour. We are going to take you out with another creepypasta read to you by our friend, Mr. Bradshaw Wilson. We'll talk to you next week. Later.
Time travel makes you gay.
You see them everywhere now, and you don't really give it a second thought. Ads that use tracking cookies to track your browsing history or personal profile, and then provide suggestions that might appeal to you. You know, the way Amazon suggests new books based on what you just read. Or when you search for something on Google and then start seeing ads for it on other websites. Or when you're a 20-something-year-old girl in a relationship on Facebook, and suddenly all of your ads are for engagement rings and wedding planners. The point is, we're all so used to this that we don't really pay attention to it anymore. But lately, these targeted ads have been unnervingly on point. Buy plastic sheeting in bulk. Electric chainsaws on sale now. Affordable dry lime. Overnight shipping available. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know what technology is driving these changes. But somehow, it's like the internet is reading my mind. Showing me ads for things that it couldn't possibly know I wanted. I swear to God, I didn't touch a keyboard, I didn't do a search. I was so careful to keep all of my plans and research and ideas offline. How is it doing this? How does it know about the bodies?